week 16 of the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few pitchers I looked at off the wire this week. The first guy, Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. So Mackenzie Gore has been on and off the list all season as a player to add. And I know the Nationals, it's been a tough season, but they have come off a sweep of the San Francisco Giants on the season here for Gore. 101 innings, 6-7 record, 122 strikeouts, a 4.49 ERA, a 1.45 WHIP, and 6 quality starts on the season. So I know Gore's got hitting around over the last month of the year. But this national team, they're an up-and-coming team, and I think in the next few seasons they possibly could be a playoff team. And Mackenzie Gore definitely was a good piece to get in the Juan Soto trade last season at the Major League trade deadline. So like I mentioned, Gore's been up and down this season, but he's a back end of the rotation pitcher for your fantasy team. I don't think you could go wrong. I know he's not going to get many wins, but he's a pitcher that's going to get strikeouts. He's going to keep the ERA down for the most part, even though, like I said, a couple ball games have done him in this season, but I think he's a decent ad. July 6th versus the Reds, 1 1/3 in that one. A hit, no runs, a K. Then July 16th at the Cubs, 6.1 innings. Got the win in that one, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. And then July 23rd versus the Giants, 5 innings, got the win. 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks. So right now, pitching pretty decent the last 2 outings. So Gore, like I said, he's been an inconsistent pitcher, but he goes out there every 5th day at least, and he's been healthy this season, and he's got major upside, I believe. In the next couple years is where you're going to really see Gore be a good pitcher, but right now, still available in 61% of fantasy leagues. I think he can help owners this week. The next pitcher is Taj Bradley of the Tampa Bay Rays. So Taj Bradley, he started off great, went to the minors for a little, and then he's been struggling for the most part over the last few weeks. On the season here for Bradley, 71 innings, 5-6 record, 95 strikeouts, a 5.29 ERA, a 1.39 WHIP, and a quality start. So right here, Taj Bradley, the ERA's been up and down this season. The last couple weeks, he's been a little bit better in the ERA. 11 innings, 0-1 record, 15 Ks, a 4 ERA, and a 1.40 WHIP, but he's not going deep into games. I know he's on a Tampa Bay Ray team that's having a solid season, even though over the last couple months, the numbers have definitely dropped off for this Ray team. They got off to that amazing start, and for the most part, they've been a 500 team, and they were out of first place as well with the Baltimore Orioles just beating them in the series. So the last few games here for Bradley, July 8th versus the Braves, 5 innings, got the loss. 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. July 18th at the Rangers, 5 innings, got the loss. 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 9 Ks. And July 23rd versus the O's, 5 innings once again, 5 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 6 Ks. So right here, he's got great potential as well, is Taj Bradley. I don't know as much as Mackenzie Gore, but definitely a pitcher with good potential. But right now, it's been tough over the last few weeks here. But like I said, he's still out there in 56% of fantasy leagues. And once he gets things going, because we've seen the potential, what he could do and be a solid fantasy pitcher. I'd like Bradley as an ad this week under the radar. I know he's been struggling pretty much for the last month of the season, but it only takes a couple ball games to get him back going. And his last 2 outings haven't really been bad, and the K rate's still been good, especially the last 2 games with 15 strikeouts. So right now, while Bradley hasn't done much, but I think he could turn things around here, and he has a good offense backing him over there for Tampa Bay. I have like him as an ad this week. The next pitcher, Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles. I mentioned Rodriguez as an ad off the wire last week, and now back in 2 starts since coming back from the minor leagues in the last week and change here. On the season, 56 innings, 2-2 record, 66 Ks, 6.91 ERA, 1.66 WHIP. So Rodriguez, he did everything he can in AAA. He dominated, a lot of strikeouts, a lot of no-run ball or one-run ball. He was pitching down there, and it was time for him to come up, obviously, in the major leagues. And now he's got 2 outings, like I said, under his belt since he returned July 17th. So July 17th versus the Dodgers, 5 innings in that one, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. And July 22nd at the Rays, 5 2/3, no decision, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. So it's an encouraging start at Tampa Bay the 22nd. 6 strikeouts and 5 2/3 in that ball game. Like I said, major upside, one of the top prospects in all Major League Baseball over the last few seasons, coming up through the ranks here is Grayson Rodriguez. And he's just got that electric K stuff, and he's just got to work on that breaking ball a little bit more, where he could definitely be a dominant pitcher. But right now, he's going to be up for the remainder of the season, I believe. They got some up and down type of pitchers like Bradish, Steenkremer, in the rotation, and Tyler Wells. And Rodriguez, out of all those guys I've mentioned, definitely has the most upside. So right now, he's in the bigs, I believe, for the remainder of the season, that they're not going to call him down. Then he's a pitcher I look to hit off the wire this week. The next pitcher, Logan Allen, Cleveland Guardians. So Logan Allen, he was sent down to the minor leagues a couple weeks before the All-Star break, but even back for an outing here is Logan Allen, and it was a good ball game, and right now available in 70% of fantasy leagues. So they sent him down just to save his arm a little bit for a couple weeks. On the season, 4-2 record for Allen, 67.1 innings, 71 Ks, a 3.21 ERA, 1.37 WHIP, and 4 quality starts on the season. So Allen, he's part of the nucleus over here in this Guardian rotation with Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams, who we've seen come up over the last couple weeks. And Logan Allen, he goes out there, he keeps the ball on the ground a lot. He's getting easier outs. I know the strikeout stuff isn't great, but it's still 1 strikeout per inning. And he's got to be owned in more fantasy leagues. I've mentioned him on and off all season as well as a pitcher to pick up. I know the only problem with him, you don't go that deep into ball games, but everything else has been pretty solid here for Allen. And this week, he's a 2-start starter. Great matchup coming up here tonight versus the Kansas City Royals, that we know is one of the worst teams in the league, and they got trouble scoring runs. And I think Allen could go out there once again and pitch good baseball. June 22nd versus the A's, 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. June 28th at the Royals, 3 2/3 in that one, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. And July 18th at the Pirates, it was a blowout victory for the Guardians. 5 innings, they didn't push him that far. Got the win, a hit, no runs, a walk, 8 Ks. So right here, he's got pretty decent strikeout stuff as Allen. He attacks his own. And like I said, he gets some easy outs with the ground balls and the pop-ups of late here. And now with a good matchup coming up in a 2-week starter, I believe he's got to be on now with the 2-start starter and a good matchup coming up here versus the Royals today. He's available in 70% of fantasy leagues, and it's pretty surprising to me because, like I said, Allen's pretty much doing everything you want out of a rookie in terms of fantasy baseball and obviously for the Cleveland Guardians. So this week I would give him an ad. The next pitch is Clarke Schmidt of the New York Yankees. So Schmidt, he got off to a slow start to start the season, but he's really come into his own over the last month of the year here. Schmidt on the season, 99.2 innings, 6-6 record, 97 Ks, 4.33 ERA, a 1.32 WHIP, and 3 quality starts. But like I said, over the last month, whenever he takes the mound, he's been piling up the victories. 28 innings, 4-0 record, 24 Ks, a 3.54 ERA, 1.07 WHIP, and a quality start. So Clarke Schmidt, I know he's not going deep into games, and a lot of thing with these young rookies, obviously, there's going to be an innings on them, and they don't want to push these guys too far this season, a lot of these teams. So right now, Clarke Schmidt, he possibly could be the odd man out as well once Hector Cortez comes back from injury. But his next outing is slated July 28th at the Baltimore Orioles, which definitely will be a tough matchup. But like I said, Clarke Schmidt's gone out there the last month of the season, and everything's going right for him. The Yankees are hitting for him. He's pitching good baseball, and he's 4-0 in the time. July 9th versus the Cubs, in that one, he had a relief outing, 2/3 in that one, and got a strikeout. Then July 15th, back in the rotation, 6 innings, got the win at the Rockies. 3 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 8 Ks, a quality start. And July 21st versus the Royals, 5 2/3, got the win. 5 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 2 Ks. So Clarke Schmidt, I know 2 pretty easy matchups, even though he did travel to Coors Field in a couple matchups ago. But right now, he's pitching good baseball. He's on a Yankee team. If they could get Aaron Judge back, it's going to be a lot of run support, obviously, for Schmidt and the pitchers in the rotation. And right now, it's tough to find decent starting pitching on the wire, especially this late in the season. So I would give him an ad this week. The only thing, obviously, to look out for is he's going to have a tougher matchup coming up in Baltimore. And if Cortez is back sooner than later, well, now he's on rehab assignments. He could be the odd man out of the rotation, but right now I still give Schmidt an ad this week. The next pitcher, Mike Lorenzen of the Detroit Tigers. So Lorenzen, he's been pretty decent this season. An up and down year, I know, but overall the numbers are pretty solid for a bad Tiger team. 100 2/3 innings, 5-6 record, 76 Ks, a 3.49 ERA, 1.09 WHIP, and 8 quality starts. In the last month of the season, he's been one of the better pitchers in the American League here. Lorenzen, 28.2 innings, 3-1 record, 22 Ks, a 2.20 ERA, 1.05 WHIP, and 2 quality starts. So like I've said in other videos, the AL Central just isn't a good division pretty much this season. Minnesota, they're a decent ball club, but their hitting isn't that scary. The White Sox are totally out of it. and having a horrible season. The Guardians hitting, besides Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez, not many threats this season. And the Kansas City Royals, one of the worst teams in the league as well. So right now, Lorenzen, he's definitely taking advantage of some of those matchups and to pitch good baseball. And he's definitely a pitcher that could be traded at the Major League trade deadline as well. He's only on a one-year deal, I believe, with this Tiger team. And we could see him go to a contender as well. So the last few outings for Lorenzen. July 15th at the Mariners, 6 2/3. Got the win in that ball game. 2 hits, no runs, 5 walks, 7 Ks, a quality start. And July 20th at the Royals, 7 innings. Got the win, 3 hits in that one, no runs, a walk, 3 Ks, a quality start. So good outing in that one, no doubt about it. He's going to be tested a little bit coming up the 26th versus the Los Angeles Angels. But like I said, even if he has a bad outing here, he's been pitching good for the last month of the season. And surprisingly, Lorenzen is available as well right now in tons of fantasy leagues at 63%. The next pitcher is his teammate, Matt Manning of the Detroit Tigers. So Matt Manning, since he's come up, he's been one of the better pitchers coming off injury of late in fantasy baseball. And right now, he's available in tons of leagues as well in 77% of fantasy leagues. On the season here for Manning, I know not much under his belt, only 36.2 innings, 3-1 record, 25 Ks, a 3.19 ERA, 1.01 whip, and a quality start. So Manning, his last outing did get cut short. The rain delayed a pitch, so maybe he'll get shorter rest and pitch quicker for this Tiger team. But anyway, he's gone out there and he's pitched good baseball, especially coming off a foot injury that kept him out pretty much the whole first half of the season here for Matt Manning. So right now, Matt Manning playing good baseball out there in tons of leagues at 77%. I know the run support and the victories aren't going to be there for him much on a Detroit Tiger team that's struggling this season. But like I said, the first few outings back, he's been good. July 8th versus the Blue Jays, 6 2/3, got the win. No hits, no runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks, a quality start. July 17th at the Royals, 5.2 innings, no decision. 4 hits, no runs, 3 Ks. And then July 22nd, like I said, with that rain delay, they pulled them after 2 innings. After they resumed play, 2 innings in that one. 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. So Manning looked good. He's attacking the zone. I know the walks have been a little bit of a problem with 5 walks in the last 2 outings here for him. But if he could cut back on that a little bit as well, he definitely could be a solid pitcher. So right now, for a guy who's gone out there and pitched good baseball on a bad team, I would like to add Manning as a back-end piece for your rotation this week. The next pitcher, Jackson Wolf of the San Diego Padres. So he came up the other day, was Wolf, and he looked decent in his Major League debut. I know it was versus a pretty weak hitting team in the Detroit Tigers, but he went out there and he pitched good baseball. And right now, he's a player that could stick in this rotation or might have been a spot start. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Jackson Wolf, he was pretty decent in the minor leagues. The 7th-ranked prospect in the Padres system. And they needed that starter, obviously, with Michael Walker out. And we'll see what he returns. But anyway, Wolf's available right now, 98% of fantasy leagues. He got off to a slow start in that game for Detroit. And then the offense came through and gave him a lot of run support that obviously will make a pitcher feel comfortable. So Wolf, if he stays in the majors and deeper leagues, he's more of an add. And like I said, in his first outing at Detroit, 5 innings in that one, got the win, 6 hits, 3 runs, a walk, a K. So Wolf, he wasn't a big strikeout guy anyway in the minor leagues. A guy most likely relying on the ground ball for the most part to get most of his outs. And he's got a good offense backing him over there in San Diego. I know it's been a down year for the Padres, but if they could get hot at any time, especially with hitters like Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto in the lineup, Cronenworth, it's been a down year for him obviously as well. But if Bogarts could get going too, and Kim's been playing good baseball, this lineup could be dangerous and they could get their pitchers run support. So right now, Wolf, you got to see if he's going to stay in the majors or not. And if he is, he's out there in 98% of fantasy leagues. And like I said, he's got a good offense backing him. They just got to be more consistent, and he'll help the other pitchers out as well. The next pitcher, Johnny Cueto of the Miami Marlins. So Cueto missed the whole first half of the season with injury, but now he's in the major leagues finally, and in the rotation he has Cueto. And on the season, 10 innings, 0-1 record, 9 Ks, a 4.5 ERA, 0.90 whip, and a quality start. So last season, Cueto was definitely a pitcher that was very surprising with the White Sox. 158.1 innings, 8-10 record, 102 Ks, a 3.35 ERA, a 1.23 whip, and 18 quality starts. So last season, that White Sox team, it was built on pitching for the most part, and Cueto was a big part of it. But this Miami Marlin team, they're floundering in a big way, 1-8 since the All-Star break ended here. So right now, Cueto, he looked good. It was a tough luck, no decision for him in the last outing. And he was going to start in the bullpen, but now they put him right in the rotation after one outing coming out of the bullpen. So right now, Cueto available in tons of fantasy leagues at 96%. And like I said, last season, he obviously had that great year with the Chicago White Sox with a good ERA, great quality starts with 18 in the season. And the key was health, and obviously this year, he hasn't been healthy to now. So July 22nd, in his first start of the year versus the Rockies, 6 innings in that one. 2 hits, a run, a walk, 8 Ks of quality starts. If he could be part of this rotation for a few weeks before Yuri Perez, a guy I'm going to mention next as an ad, he definitely can help fantasy owners in deeper leagues. And like I said, he's coming off a great year last year for a guy who had no expectations in the 2022 season. And the final pitch I looked at is his teammate Yuri Perez of the Miami Marlins. So Perez, he's taken the league by storm in his first stint in the major leagues. But now I know they've called him down over the last couple weeks. But this Miami Marlin team, like I mentioned, they're 1-8 after the All-Star break. And if they want to stay in the hunt here, I think it's time to call Yuri Perez back up to the major leagues. And right now, he's available still in 44% of fantasy leagues. If he's out there on your wire and you got an NA spot, it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, to go out there and stash Yuri Perez on the season. 53.1 innings, 5-3 record, 61 Ks, 2.36 ERA, a 1.09 whip, and 4 quality starts. Are very impressive numbers, no doubt about it. 20-year-old Perez, he's got great strikeout stuff, overpowering stuff, knows how to hit the zone as well, and he pitches in a tough division with pretty solid hitting teams. Obviously, the Braves, one of the best hitting teams in the league. Phillies, they got a lot of boppers, and the Mets, they can hit from time to time as well. So Yuri Perez, he's gone out there and he's pitched good baseball, and I believe he should be back in the majors sooner than later with this Miami team falling down in the standings, but still have a chance to make the wild card. Yuri Perez definitely could be a league winner as well with his upside and his ace-type stuff. So that's a few pitches I'll look to add here in Week 16 already of the fantasy baseball season.